What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Kubb Talk. What is Kubb Talk, you may be asking yourself, and that's a great question. Kubb Talk is going to be a show in which I talk to people that are involved in the Kubb community in various aspects, whether they be players, tournament directors, maybe they own a company that supports and promotes Kubb. I'm going to talk to them, figure out what it is they love about this game, and hopefully build some community, across the United States and across the world with other fellow Kubbers. Speaking of USA Kubb, we're going to talk to Eric Anderson, who's the director of the US National Kubb Championship, and we're going to ask him all kinds of questions. We're going to ask him about the Nationals itself. We'll ask him about different programs that US National Kubb Championship operates. Ask him some personal questions, and just, let him talk and get to know him, and hope you guys get to know him as well. So sit back, relax, and grab the beverage of your choice, and thank you for joining us for episode 1 of Kubb Talk. All right, what's going on? Eric, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Beautiful Sunday evening here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. The background, your background looks way better than my background. The three throw pillows that I have going on back here. Give a rundown real quick of what all is going on back there behind you.
Okay. Well, I got over here. I have a couple of trophies from Duluth when my dad and I went up there and played in 2008 and 2009. So I think those might actually be some of the oldest trophies, actual trophies in the country for Kubb.
Oh, wow.
Ours that we gave out in 2007 and 8, obviously, and the 9, but those are there. Got one here from Madison, Midsummer Tournament there. Some from the Chippewa Valley Coop League when Greg was doing that here in town. Right behind me is the flag from Gotland in Sweden. So I played there in 2011 and then in 2014 with the team Claire Mini. In 14 and then in 11 played with some people from Stockholm. So we have some stuff up there. A couple made the trip down to Des Moines 3 or 4 times. So I have a couple things from Des Moines there, and then Rockford up there when we played a Tears trip up there with Aaron Elbringer and Scott Graham.
Yeah.
So it's just a little thing there, I guess, I put together for it. Yep.
Got a little collection going there. I'll work on my background at some point. I got so many other things to figure out before I even start to worry about my background. I just made sure that the pillows were straight and there wasn't anything too crazy.
The pillows look good.
Oh, thank
pillows
you.
Look really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so for
not as good as the hat. But
yeah, right. I figured this was appropriate
yeah.
for tonight. Yeah. I picked that up this year at Nationals, so I was very excited about this purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for those that might be tuning in, I already kind of gave a brief intro as far as your title of director of US National Kubb Championship goes. But we'll get to Nationals and USA Kubb here in just a little bit. But tell people about yourself if you don't mind. Where are you from? How long you've been playing Kubb and so forth.
Yep, born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, so moved around a little bit after that. Learned the game of Kubb in Sweden in 2001, so my wife and I took a trip there to visit some friends. Played it once for sure, maybe twice, just in front of somebody's house. Liked it, didn't really know much about it afterwards. I remember seeing it on a beach in San Diego a couple years after that when I visited my wife's brother out in San Diego. He lives out in San Diego. And then really fell in love with it in 2005, 2006. Lived in Sweden for a year and met some friends there. And we played it a little bit. And on Midsummer, which is right around June 20th or so, the Swedish Midsummer holiday, played it for hours and hours and hours and just fell in love with it. And that's where I think, like I said, just fell in love with the game. And then we moved back to the States, just started playing it with some friends where we moved to. And then came to Eau Claire and still loved it, and just started introducing it to people when we moved here to Eau Claire in 2007.
Nice. And so you said you lived in Sweden for a year?
Yep, 2005, 2006 school year.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Okay. So I don't know if I even know this. What do you do professionally?
Uh, Professionally, I'm like a city planner.
Okay.
So, but for a 7 county region, so West Central Wisconsin, kind of from the middle part of the state all the way over to the St. Croix River, over the border by the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
So I've been working for an organization called the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission since we moved here in 2007. So
Okay.
that's my full-time job.
Yeah, so that pays the bills.
That pays the bills.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Cool. Good deal. So, kind of going back to, I guess this first round with your trip to Sweden, and then moving to Eau Claire in 2007. I read on the USA Kubb website that your dad gave you a set. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, when we were in Sweden, that was back in the day, really before like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything. So one of the best advices I ever got was from my brother-in-law, Kevin, my wife's brother, and he said, "Oh, you should do like an online journal when you're over there." So I said, "No, I don't think so," but then we ended up doing it. And so in it, we would just type stuff up and then go online, and then people that were living here that wanted to know what we were doing could follow us and hear about what we're doing. It was too expensive to make a phone call back, and there was no Skype or FaceTime or anything like that. So wrote about Kubb, and then when my wife and I and my oldest daughter Maya, she was with us, moved back. We had all of our stuff stored in Rockford. So then when we moved to Rockford, my dad had gone online and searched for Kubb sets and found a company that sold Kubb sets, and so he had a Kubb set waiting for us when we came back to Rockford, and then we moved away from Rockford, obviously for a job, and then so we had that Kubb set, and then that was the first Kubb set that we had. So um, we brought it with us and just played a ton of Kubb with it. So
That's awesome. Do you still have that first set?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
it's got a big place. Oh, well, it's got a big place in my heart. So
Yeah. Of course.
it's interesting. It's not square, like square like I'm trying to make a square here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 4-sided. It's like 6 or 7-sided.
Huh.
It's so more like hexagon or octagon.
Yeah.
And the Kubbs are that way, and the batons are that way. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
how we started with it.
Huh.
So that was our first Kubb set. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. And so I guess kind of keeping with your dad, the Steve Anderson Kubb Set program, obviously named after him. Um,
Yep.
how long has that program been around?
That's a good question. I think we started it in 2000 and I think around 2014, and we awarded like one Kubb set the first year. And actually, it was probably 2012, probably 2012 or 13 was like the first year for it. And then when he passed away, what we decided to do was to name the program after him, with the thought that we give out these free Kubb sets with the help of JP's Backyard Games,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea is that those like everything that was created in Eau Claire started with that one Kubb set. So there's been a lot of people that have participated and acted and done things to help promote and build Kubb in Eau Claire, obviously. But it all started with one Kubb set. That's just a fact. And so whatever we can do to help promote the growth of the game in other communities, that was the drop of water that started the waterfall here, if you will. So if we can try to repay that, forward and give that to other communities, that's what we wanted to do. So we named it after my dad. We thought that was more than appropriate to do that, since that was something that he did for us. So we were trying to do that for other people. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so the deadline, I guess, for this year just came and went.
Yeah.
It was at the end of the month of December. So how many official applications got in?
I think we have 7 this year.
Yeah.
So we got a few in the last week. So that was great. So really excited about that. So what we do, our board, we meet monthly, and so we'll meet in January this month, and go over those applications and award those Kubb sets to those applicants in January. And then again, we work with Jason Larson at JP's Backyard Games, and he'll send those out, and works out great. So we've awarded dozens of different applicants Kubb sets. I think we're well over 100 Kubb sets that we've given out now, especially after this next year, after these coming up. So that we've sent out from everywhere from Washington State to Delaware to Sri Lanka.
Oh wow!
To military bases overseas.
Yeah.
So we've it's been nationwide, absolutely. So
yeah, and my club, the club that I'm a member of, Central Arkansas Kubb, we got our sets in 2018. We were part of that program that year, and yeah, so you guys sent 3 sets to North Little Rock High School, and so yeah, I've been able to teach a bunch of rowdy 9th graders how to play Kubb, and they love it. They eat it up. So yeah.
And we love what you guys do, because you guys post those pictures and promote it, and not necessarily, you obviously thanked us and that online and things like that, but you just show that you're still building the game and promoting the game with different, because our hope is that we obviously Kubb is for everybody, and what we want to do is with these Kubb sets, we want to use these Kubb sets to introduce Kubb to communities that Kubb isn't being played, or certain demographic groups of people that are not represented in the larger Kubb world, I guess
right.
America. So people that are elderly, seniors, minorities, persons with disabilities. So we want to really try to find ways to promote Kubb and get Kubb to those people as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about it. Is it can be played by the majority of people out there. You don't have to be super fit or super athletic. I remember seeing on one of the posts that USA Kubb made on Instagram, I guess maybe earlier this school year, there was a young lady at one of the schools that she was in a wheelchair and she was playing. And so as long as you can project a baton forward, that's about it.
Yeah, that was a fun video. We do a lot of outreach here in the Eau Claire area, and one of those things, that video is from our Leadership Eau Claire program here locally. So the past probably, 5-6 years, we've been doing it with high school juniors that are part of this youth leadership program. So they take, I think it's like 1 day a month, they go and do different things within the community to learn about the community. And one of the things they do on one of those days is a Kubb with us. And it's just great. Actually, it's been done so well with the kids that now they invited us to do it with the adults as well. So we're doing that with the adults as well. So and what's really neat is it's fun to look back and say, when we first started talking and doing this, we'd ask the kids, okay, how many of you have heard of Kubb? How many of you have played Kubb? And the numbers were really low, in the first couple of years. But now, with this group, I think there was like 4 or 5 people that had not heard about it and had not played it. So out of 30 some kids, so it's just awesome to see that growth within our community here.
Yeah, and speaking of the community itself, in the preview video we touched on the title that Eau Claire has, which is the Kubb capital of North America, and so I have a trivia question for anybody that is out there watching that sees this. The question is this: first person to comment with the correct month, day, and year that Eau Claire was officially recognized as the Kubb capital of North America. I have from Natties themselves some US Kubb Nationals. You guys call them Sunnies. I remember when I first heard that. Said, "Oh, get some Sunnies." We just say sunglasses down here. But we got some US National Kubb Championship Sunnies, as well as an 8-meter fever Eau Claire, Wisconsin sticker. And then whatever else I can round up to send to folks. Maybe some of our own club swag as well. I don't know. So first person to correctly comment with the month, day, and year that Eau Claire was officially recognized as the Kubb capital of North America, you win some stuff. So yeah, if you need to look at our
That's an easy question.
sneak peek video, feel free to do that. And whatever, yeah.
Yep.
So there it is. There's the question. Um, let's talk nationals. So,
Yep.
when did nationals begin? When was the very first tournament that you held there in Eau Claire?
Yeah, so that was August of 2007. So that was the first tournament that we hosted here in Eau Claire. That was, from my understanding, that was still, I mean, I try to find these things, but I haven't found a tournament yet that, a tournament that was open to everybody, not just in somebody's backyard or something like that, but a tournament that was open so that was August of 2007 was when we had the first tournament here in Eau Claire.
And how many teams were a part of that first tournament? Do you know?
Yep, we had 15 or 16 teams, and we had about I think just around 34 or 35 players at that first tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, how many teams did you have this last summer?
The past, I think it's 4 years we've maxed out with 128 teams. Yeah. So yeah, now as you know, we require at least 3 people on a team. So we changed that from 2011 to 13. We made that switch from minimum of 2 to 3 players. So well over 400 players play now at the championship.
Yeah, and it's a blast. I can't wait to come back and play, this summer in 2020. Speaking of nationals, I'm looking at Instagram here. One of our Instagram followers, How Short's Your Porch Kubb, they want to know, what is your favorite part of planning nationals each year?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I guess I'll say what my favorite part was this past year, and that was building the sign. So that new sign we had with the cities on it and then the miles. I did that with a couple of my buddies here in town, and just hanging out, building that, coming up with the idea, working with one of the sign shops here in town that put together those signs for us. That was a lot of fun. I think one of the things that we really like, Kid Kubb has a big part in my heart. So I really love Kid Kubb. But I think trying to figure out ways that will put smiles on people's faces, and I think, painting that big king a few years ago, and now we do that every year. It says nationals along the side and then the year underneath of it, and seeing people of all ages get their pictures taken with it. Or this year there's a video and a couple kids are jumping over it. Having that, and then the sign with the city and the miles. Those are the things that I really enjoy doing, is trying to make it a little bit more special, and putting smiles, I guess, on people's faces, and trying to enhance that experience for people when they come here, and places where they want to get their pictures taken with, and different things like that. So I guess that would probably be the answer for that, I think.
Yeah, that sign was awesome. I know we took several pictures in front of it this summer. Kind of keeping with the theme of nationals and whatnot, there's been a couple people that have asked on Instagram about rule changes. Are there any major rule changes coming up this year?
No, I don't think so. It's something that we, as an organization, our board, we discuss, and we say, are there any rules that need to be changed, or rules that we think should be added or taken out, or those types of things. So I don't anticipate any what I would call major rule changes that would be coming within this next year.
Yeah.
No.
Now, also, let's see, Paul Knutson and the guys at Kuban, so Chris Jones and those guys, they want to know about the neighborhood rule, if you're ever going to implement the neighborhood rule at nationals.
I guess you can't never say never, but I don't see it happening. I guess it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't foresee it happening in in the near future. It's something that we've discussed as a board in the past, because it's obviously been brought up, and when people bring things up, we discuss it and talk about it and see if it's something that needs to be changed. And when we discussed it previously, it was something that we're all in favor of different people having different rules. The saying on Goatland, where the World Championships are, is "Your farm, your rules."
Yeah.
So when you go to somebody else's house, even here in town or wherever, and somebody, "Oh, we're going to play this way," you're like, "Okay, great, let's do it." And that's, I think, a beautiful thing about the game.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, we talked about it in the past, and that's not something that we've decided to change. So no.
Yeah. What about with within the Eau Claire Coop League? Do you guys utilize that or not?
No.
I've
Yep.
I've never really. I mean, the only tournaments I've ever played, obviously, were there at nationals. But I'm trying to think if we used it in the virtual league any this time around. I don't know if it came up or not. I think maybe it was. I think they used it, but
Okay.
I was never good enough to profit or benefit
Right.
from it. So I know I never got to use it, but yeah, it was.
If it was the Chaska Coop League or Chaska virtual league, then I would guess they probably did use it, because I know the Chaska club. I know they use it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see. What else? What else? Let's talk Wisconsin Kubb, the website, and KubbNation Magazine. Both of those things, you publish those, correct?
Yep.
So, what? Tell people about KubbNation Magazine for anybody that hasn't seen it.
Check it out. First of
Yeah.
all, go to wisconsinkub.com and check it out. Came up with an idea back in 2009 to put together some sort of little magazine that would talk about a variety of things, clubs, interview individuals, interesting things that were happening in the Coop world. So I don't remember how many pages the first year was. Maybe it was 16 or 20 pages. I remember the cover of it, and just kind of grew from there. And it's been a way for me to actually, just personally, like my personal growth with the game and the sport, to really learn about just a wide variety of different individuals and clubs and organizations and tournaments, and just all these interesting things that are happening around the world, actually, in regards to Coop. I think us here in the States, we have a pretty decent idea of what's happening here. But I think when you look at Europe, you look at Germany and Switzerland and Belgium and the Netherlands, obviously Sweden, it's Czech Republic. These places have just grown just huge, the growth of Coop there. So it's been a lot of fun for me to talk to different people and have them provide articles about Coop, about what they're doing within their clubs and organizations. So we did player cards a couple years. You can go on there and see player cards from probably 6-7 years ago. We did a Coop set review one time. So looked at the drill technique of incasting. So obviously when you throw the Coop back, that's called incasting, and then there's a specific strategy or technique called the drill. So we interviewed people from different countries in regards to that, and showed people how they hold it. So it's been, I guess I look at it too as like a library or a catalog of things that have happened in the past. A lot of the clubs and events or groups or individuals that we've interviewed or talked to in the past, they're not active anymore, or they're not playing anymore, and that's fine too. But I think what it is, it's neat to look and see what was happening throughout this time. So it's a good read. It's
fun.
Yeah, so it's and I think too, what's kind of neat is that I think it provides an opportunity for like for you, I think, to write about what you were hoping to do and what you've done down there for Central Arkansas Coop, and get the word out actually worldwide.
Yeah.
in regards to what you're doing. And so it's kind of helping provide that avenue for people. Um, so
Yeah. No, it's great. It's cool. Looking forward to this year's whenever that drops. Kind of
yep.
going in the theme with memories and whatnot. Um, I, say your daughter's name again, so I don't get it wrong.
Maya.
Maya
Yeah.
Maya Lynn EA 25 at wants to know what are your favorite memories from the team that went to Worlds in 2014.
She follows you on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's good. That's one of your followers. Um, Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's just that was just such a special memory. You know, we planned it out for I think well a year out. We played in Dallas the fall before, just to kind of see if we all wanted to travel to Sweden and play together and be with each other for a week and a half. Um, and that went really well, not just because we won Dallas, but just because I think the baseline was just it was just a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. Just kind of the same mental, where we were at and what we were trying to do, planning for it. But obviously meeting in the airport, going over there, meeting Peter over there, and getting to know him a lot better. But then getting on that ferry and taking that ferry across from Stockholm down to Visby, and just doing that with all six of us, and not really knowing what to expect, and um, going as far as we did, and just that experience and the support. And there's I guess there's no top favorite memory, but it's just it was a heck of a ride. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it seems like it'd be a once in a lifetime thing, but for you, it's been a twice in a lifetime thing, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think back, but I remember like in 2010, I was like, oh, I'd like to go over there and try and do this, and I didn't know if it would work or not work. And I had been talking to an individual named Jens who lived in Stockholm, and had a lot of questions for him on different things, and whether it's rules or um, kind of what's the different things that are happening in the World Championship. And I said I was looking to play in a team. And he's like, hey, we're looking for a player or two. And so worked it out and got to go over there, and then got to visit. All my grandparents are from Sweden, so I got to visit family when I was over there as well. So that was amazing, to go there for the first time. I remember going across on the ferry, by myself, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
To do it. So that was a really great experience as well, and meeting the five individuals that I played with that all lived in Stockholm. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend it. You go there, and the number of pitches, it's the same as it is here at the US Championship. There's 64 pitches set up, but it's minimum of 6 people on a team, so you double the number of people.
Wow.
And to me that is the holy ground.
Yeah.
That's where it all started, and I just so much respect to them to starting it and keep doing what they're doing. And I know for me individually, they've been an inspiration for the stuff that I've tried to work on and build here, with the things that I've worked on here in the States. So Bibby and her crew are not only do they host the World Championship, but they're a world-class organization as well. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, it just kind of seems to be the thing that in the, I guess, 3 years or so that I've been, you know, somewhat involved in Kubb. I've particularly as when we started coming up for nationals and whatnot, just noticing just how cool and down to earth everybody is, how welcoming and friendly everybody was. Here in Arkansas, we have everybody thinks about Southern hospitality, and so it was great when we traveled to Eau Claire. We still felt that same amount of hospitality, and warmth and welcoming, and yeah, it's I mean you can't beat it. It's a real special thing.
I appreciate those kind words. Like I tell our volunteers, it's like they're the people that that people like you interact with. Very very few people there at the championship interact with me. I'm doing my thing, and I'm kind of doing whatever, but the people that sign teams in or sell merch, or the folks from Girls in the Run that are selling the Swedish brats and the concessions, those are the people that all of you interact with. So
Right.
that makes me feel good that you and others feel that way.
Yeah, no, it was great. Um, I guess kind of going with the local tournament vibe, the Loppet Foundation, they wanted to know if you've ever played in the City of Lakes Loppet Winter Festival Cube Tournament in Minneapolis.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I played in that. Yeah, I actually played in the first. I think Eric Goplin called it the BFF. He had something in his backyard in his apartment that he lived in. I think that was maybe like 2010. Like I just drove over there and they randomly put people together, and I did that. And then the next year he had a 16-team tournament at a park by his apartment, and that was like a winter tournament. Played with that with my good friend Paul, late friend Paul, with our team named Sweden Sons back in the day. And then I think the next year was the first year for the tournament went into the Lopet, and played in that. I think 3 years I played in the Lopet. I think 3 different years. So yeah.
Oh.
It's tough now. My kids are at an age where I've been really active with them, and with basketball and volleyball, that's a tough weekend for me. But once they get out and are done, then I'd love to head back and participate.
Yeah.
Actually, what I do is ski over there. They have the Loppet is a ski festival. It was a winter festival, but a big part of it is skiing, and love cross country skiing. So I'd like to try to do the cross country skiing and Kubb.
Yeah.
At different the course of a weekend. So
great
stuff. Amazing things are happening in the Twin Cities with Kubb. Amazing things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hopefully I can get a hold of St. Paul Coupe Society and get some of those guys on here. Because they've been super supportive of everything that we've tried to do down here as well. I've been able to Facebook message them and ask them questions and like, hey, how do you do this? What does this look like? What's this ladder league thing that you got going on, or whatever it may be. I mean it's just pretty much the same thing with the Kubb community in general. Is just super helpful and supportive of one another, which is awesome. Let's see. I got
Tim and the whole crew for St. Paul Coupe Society, man. To me, they have it dialed in. And I tell them this all the time of being competitive. Having a group or organization, or kind of a society, I guess, if you will, that's competitive but fun. They've really dialed it in. If you're interested in Kubb, follow them on social media for sure, including Kubb Talk, obviously, right? But follow St. Paul Coupe side as well. So,
well, I guess 3 more questions for you here. This is another viewer submitted question. The beautiful Cash Ram wants to know: does your wife play Kubb, or does she enjoy Kubb as much as you do? I think is how she actually worded it. Does she enjoy Kubb as much as you?
So she does play, and we always play together at we live in the East Hill neighborhood, and we've about 6 or 7 years now. We've had we call it the East Side Hill Neighborhood Derby. So you have to live in the neighborhood to play in this Kubb tournament. And you get a flag if you win it. So you get to put the flag outside your house to promote that you've won it and everything like that. And you get medals and everything. And we hold it at Boyd Park, which is actually the home of the championship in 2009 and 2010. So she plays in that every year. She might throw a couple batons, and other than that, does she enjoy it as much as I do? No, she doesn't. But she does play a little bit. Yeah. But we always do play the Derby together. So
yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. What do you love? And this might be a hard question, but what do you love about Kubb?
That's a good question. A couple of things. I really like how it brings people together. I really feel like when you when you go to and for me, I play in the Eau Claire Coop League a little bit, and it just brings so many people together, and it creates this community. And as one of my friends, Drew Brandenburg, says, I don't know if I'm saying it exactly like how he says it, but it's not a game. It's a lifestyle, and it's just it allows people that are it doesn't matter. Dave Ellringer. The Ringers are a perfect example. Dave is in his 70s, is a cancer survivor. He can be just as good as his son, who's around my age, right? And then his grandson, Aaron's son, even when he was 12 or 13 years old, he was as good as almost anybody. So it doesn't know age, it doesn't know male, female, it doesn't know these types of things, and I just find it to be a beautiful game that's inclusive, and quite honestly, one thing that I do love about it, and when I used to play competitively in the past a lot more, it's that mental part of it. As I play it more and more, I find it being more and more mental and less physical. And I love that challenge. I love that grind. I love it if you want to be good, you got to put your time in. I think there's been very, very few people that have just started Coop and they were just like absolute naturals, and they could you have to put your time in, in the different strategies in the game and playing with new people. And that's one thing I've tried to do in the past 3 years is like play with new people. And sometimes when you see them say, why'd you do that? Or why'd you think that? And you explain it to them, they're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. And it's these little strategies in the game. And I just absolutely love that. I love going out and just ink casting cubes. Like to me, it's like therapeutic, just to go out there and try to have it do different things with, the different angles and right to left and left to right and backwards, frontwards and frontwards, backward. And just, I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
It is. It's tons of fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm as hooked as you are, we keep a coop set in the car at all times. So if we're at somebody's house, for family get together or whatever, it's like, oh hey, you want to play some coop, and try to get my students to play, and anybody that gives me 5 minutes to talk to them about it, I'm like, let me tell you about this thing. And, great thing about Arkansas is, Arkansans, we love our lawn games. So it's just, one more thing to put in the arsenal of lawn games, So yeah, it's neat. And I think what's even neater is when we're at an event, teaching people to see that one or two people come up and be like, oh, I know this game. I've played this game before, and then, hear, their story about, where they learned, or how they came across it. I don't think it was this year. I think it was last year at one of the events we did. There was a lady that she came up and she had a very thick European accent, and she's like, oh, you know Koob. And I looked at her and I said, well, judging from your accent and your pronunciation, you know Koob too, huh? And she laughed and she says, yes, I'm from Sweden. And I was like, that's awesome, and here she was in Central Arkansas at a beer festival, and so yeah, it's a neat community, and that's the whole thing with this, is irrelevant or silly as it may be in the grand scheme of things. I just hope that this program brings that community and builds that community together, and helps put some names to faces across the Coop community itself, because it's so spread out, like we mentioned in the promo video, having clubs in California and New Mexico and Wisconsin and PA and Arkansas and wherever they may be. It's just hopefully we can continue to grow the sport and the community, all at the same time. So I won't take actually won't take any more of your time. If you real quick want to give everybody a heads up on how they can follow you and keep in contact with you, what's the best way to to keep up to date with things going on up there.
Yep. And I'll just add, if it's okay, I'll add one more thing that you said.
Yeah.
And it's I love that there's this explosion of clubs and events and tournaments in the U.S. and obviously within the world, but here in the U.S. And I feel like people are starting to get more and more like their brand. Like when I think of, like the L.A. Kubb Club and the West Coast like there's this brand. There's like I envision. There's certain colors. There's certain like feel like, and if it's you guys or if it's uh, Keystone Kubb or down in North Carolina, and I'm missing a ton here, but all of them, Wisconsin and Minnesota, what they're doing up in Duluth and Superior, and the new Kubb on a Stick and everything in Minneapolis, and just on and on and on and on. And it's just I think everybody's creating their own identity, and I think it's so fresh and it's refreshing to see that because we don't all have to be the same, right? We can have our own brand and our own identity and do what we want to do that we think will help build the game in our local area. So that's one part that I do love seeing from a distance, and I love it when they come here and we can talk a little bit. Unfortunately, during Natties, it's tough to talk to everybody and things like that, but I try to keep in touch with as much as I can over the course of the year. So I agree with you 100%. I just love how that's evolving and building here in the States, because I think as there's more of us, then it becomes even more sustainable. I really do. So but to get in touch with us, our website is usakubb.org, so you can go there. Registration for the championship opens April 1st, so less than 3 months. Twitter is USA Kubb, Instagram is USA Kubb, on Facebook is US National Kubb Championship. I think you can just under search, just type in Kubb, and it would be one of the first to come up, if not the first, or Kubb Championship. That will come up. KubbNation Magazine and the Dallas Kubb Tournament. I organized the Dallas Kubb Tournament in Dallas, Wisconsin. I think you guys thought it was Dallas, Texas this past year, right?
Yeah, Steven jumped the gun on that and registered us for that. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. You guys are coming to Dallas. And we're like, and apparently he was like, yeah, it's way closer for us. And you're like, wait a minute.
So, and that's all WisconsinKubb.com. So you can follow that there as well. So US National Kubb Championship. We try to stay pretty active on all of our social media and our website. It's kind of a slower time of year, obviously. So, but once the spring comes around for up here, then we'll get more active. And the Eau Claire Coop League, they're starting their winter season today.
Oh wow!
Their first day for their winter league, their indoor winter league was today. They had a tournament 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm sure they'll have another indoor tournament, probably in the late winter, early in the spring, and they'll start up their spring league. And I think there's at least 8 to 10 tournaments here just in the Chippewa Valley. So Eau Claire, Chippewa Falls, Altoona, every year. So there's a lot of Kubb going on. So it's really great to see that growth, and again that sustainability of that here in the Eau Claire area.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. Well, that's all we got for episode 1. I think we've hit everything, and then a couple little bonus topics in there as well. So I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate your time and your enthusiasm and your support. Just with everything that you've helped help start down here with our club, and all the questions that you've been able to answer whenever I've emailed you questions about rules or whatever it is. I appreciate it, and want to definitely make that known, just how much I appreciate your time and just this friendship that we've been able to form over this game called Kubb. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thanks for doing this. I just firsthand, I know when you do things like this, and we've talked about the technology part of it and all these types of things, and it's not easy. It's not like you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this," and you do it. You did your homework for this. You and I talked. You did your thing. So just from me to you and us at the championship, and just thanks for doing this, because I think this is going to be awesome, and it's going to introduce people to other people and see how they're doing things, and I'm really excited. I'll be tuning into every episode. So
yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much. So
Cool. Well,
Yep.
thank you so much. So there it was, episode 1. Eric Anderson, director of US National Kubb Championship. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Again, thank you, Eric, for all your help and support on this. Before we get out of here, I got a few tournament announcements to make for anybody that wants to know what's going on in the Kubb world. The third annual Cabin Fever Kubb tournament returns on Saturday, January 25th. Contact Matt Green or post in the Facebook event. So that's for the third annual Cabin Fever Kubb tournament. Um, Also on January 5th, now in its 5th year, the Scuffle for the Shovel returns on January 25th to Dorton Park in Concord, North Carolina, and is hosted by Queen City Kubb. Go to KubbOn.com for registration information for that. And then lastly, going back to Loppet, Captain Ken's Loppet Kubb tournament will be held Saturday, February 1st at 10 a.m. in Theodore Wirth Park, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Again, go to KubbOn.com for more registration information. And speaking of KubbOn.com, tune into our next episode, which will be January 13th. It's a Monday. And it will feature our second guest will be Christopher Jones from KubbOn.com. We're going to talk to him about what it's like to operate KubbOn.com, manage that website, as well as just what it's like to play at a competitive level that he plays at in these tournaments that he plays in. So that'll be Monday, January 13th, episode 2, Christopher Jones from KubbOn. So thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out. Make sure that you subscribe to us here on YouTube. Hit that little button. I don't know what it is. I think it's a bell to get notifications anytime we upload anything. Please follow us as well on Instagram. Until next time, we'll see you on the pitch.